Let's get the latest, though, first of all, on all the happenings today in Canberra. And, well, it's been a bit of an interesting joust today between the two major parties, but essentially what Labor's doing is returning to a theme here, all the things that the coalition doesn't support in opposition.
Yeah, it's about this pharmacy disallowance motion on the 60-day dispensing, isn't it? Well, he's been calling them the Noalition, the PM, and we saw this example of it again today. The opposition was set to move in the Senate to disallow the government move to allow people to get 60-day prescriptions and therefore cheaper medicines from September 1. When the opposition realised they didn't have the numbers, they pulled the disallowance motion.
Order. And you know what they did in the Senate earlier today? They lost 6 votes trying to block the vote being held. Trying to block the vote being held on their motion. On their motion. And then, when that all failed, they withdrew the moving of the motion. Oh. So now it sits on the notice paper an orphan. No one's moving it. No one's associated with it.
Order.
What a farce.
Well, there's a reason the Pharmacy Guild gets good access in this building. It's the reason a lot of organisations get good access, political donations. In the year leading up to the 2022 election, the Guild gave $577,000 to the Liberal, National and Labor parties. Perhaps sniffing the wind, they gave slightly more to Labor, $310,000 to $267,000. But in the previous 2 years, 2/3 of their donations were to the Coalition. So in the entire last term of government, the Pharmacy Guild and its various branches across the country donated close to $1.1 million to the major parties. More than 1 million reasons to listen to the lobby group. 60% of that money going to the Coalition. Their donations to Labor obviously haven't stopped this policy. Labor need to point to cost of living relief they are providing that doesn't drive up inflation, and this medicines measure fits the bill. Here's the head of the Pharmacy Guild, Trent Toomey, breaking down earlier this year over this policy.
If those spin doctors down there don't want to believe what I've got to say, get off your ass and go and talk to these guys, right? I've had Labor Party senators and MPs just take their phones off the hook because I don't give a shit, right? I'm sorry, I'm a North Queenslander, I don't mean to swear, but they just don't care, you know? This is supposed to be a government that cares.
So let's have a look at Peter Dutton's style as opposition leader and all the things he's opposed so far in his time in the job, and it's just over a year, of course. Energy price caps, the National Reconstruction Fund, the Housing Australia Future Fund, the Rewiring the Nation Fund, the Voice to Parliament, and now the pharmacy dispensing policy. At least from the government's point of view, the opposition passed its increase to JobSeeker. I spoke to the PM about this Tony Abbott style of leadership of Peter Dutton's last month. See, it seems to me Peter Dutton's trying to do a Tony Abbott on you, isn't he?
Well, Peter Dutton is just full of relentless negativity, and it is from the Tony Abbott playbook.
But that can work,
the
can't
problem
it?
Is,
it can be very effective at tearing you down, potentially.
How well did it work for the functioning of the government that came in? How well did it work? Tony Abbott didn't last for 2 years as Prime Minister.
So Noalition is not a new term for Anthony Albanese. This was in 2011 to Tony Abbott when Albanese was Leader of the House for the government.
There is no room in Australia for a party of reaction. There is no useful place for a policy of negation. That is what Robert Menzies said about this person who has led the coalition of yesterday into the Noalition of today. The Noalition who have just one policy to every issue. No, 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 no.
He's a bit more styled up these days, isn't he, Albo? Speaking of blasts from the past, the former PM and Australia's ambassador to Washington, Kevin Rudd, was waxing lyrical in Parliament House today as he saw the unveiling of his portrait. But he said Anthony Albanese had a tougher job as PM than he did.
When I was Prime Minister, we had to deal with a global financial crisis, keeping the country out of recession. We had to deal simultaneously with an emerging climate change challenge. And then on top of that, implement reforms in health and education, industrial relations. But when I look at what this government now has to wrestle with in this parliament against the huge structural challenges which we face, Prime Minister, you have the harder job than I did, and I mean that.